I'm going to practice a little bit of what I preach actually today. Yesterday during my class, I practiced my speech, and my students literally tore it apart. And so today I spent reorganizing it. So I didn't have it memorized, but I think they actually had some valuable things to say to me, and I listened to them, and so this is, you guys get to see the product of that. All right, so I have the privilege of teaching computer science and engineering here at the school, and I love it because I really get to see how kids can be creative and innovative, and it's so fun. Just as a parent, you know what it is like to see something that they've actually built on their own, and you're like, oh my gosh, these guys are way more talented than I am, so it's really fun to see. Some of the projects that I've gotten to see this year is one of them is having students actually made this project to help with CO2 emissions. Can you believe that? I don't get how it works even, but they know how it works, and it's something I think might be patentable. Another student has actually worked with the Edina Police Department, developing a device that will actually carry their emergency equipment to people that are in need right away, because they're in a four-wheel drive truck, and they can get there quicker than the ambulances can, so they can actually treat people quicker. And you know that those minutes make all the difference. Another thing I've gotten to do this year is be the work-based learning coordinator for our school. We have a couple students working for a local company as a trial in an internship for the software engineering area with their Java skills. And if things go well this year, they're going to hire them full-time as apprentices next year. Can you imagine graduating from high school having a living wage? Right? We need more of that. So one of the goals that we have coming up here is having every student certify in some area or another before they graduate. That will help open up some doors for them to have some decent jobs while they're going on to school. And we need more kids they're so inventive. This is the time to really get into possible inventions and patentable products. So one of the things let's see here, there we go. I didn't even know, okay. We are members of MnTech, Minnesota Technology Association, whose mission is to build a more vibrant, innovative, and inclusive technology ecosystem in Minnesota by enabling connections, public policies, and partnerships needed to help the tech community thrive. So they send out a report every quarter. And this last report came out about 2 weeks ago. And if you notice the number on there, about 92,500, in about 10 years, there's going to be that many technology jobs that need to be filled. We have a problem, though. Look at this next one. Isn't that sad? We are ranked 50th out of 50 states in computer science education. That does not include Puerto Rico. Guess where we're at with Puerto Rico? 51st. Can't get any lower than that. So we can only get up, go higher. So that we have some hope, right? We can get better. But how did we get there? One of the reasons that we're there right now is if you look at 28% of our schools in Minnesota have computer science education. Only 28%. I believe Iowa's in the 70s. Yeah. So we have our work ahead of us, which is surprising, to be honest, considering our rich history. Minnesota was the global epicenter of computing, as the birthplace of the supercomputer. Did you know that came from here? The supercomputer and the home to UNIVAC, Control Data, IBM Rochester, Honeywell. How many of you have played the game Oregon Trail? I think everybody has. Guess where that came from? Not Oregon. It came from here, Minnesota. Why have we failed if we have that rich history? I have some theories about this. For one thing, again, we don't have computer science in every school. That would help, right? But the other thing is, in the past, legislation has deemed that computer science should be embedded in all the classrooms. As an English teacher or a social studies teacher, you would have to learn computer science on top of what you already are teaching. That would be difficult, so there's no training for that. And also, all of our core classes have so many standards they have to cover in a year. It's really hard to slow down. As a former math teacher, I remember there was no room to slow down at all. And so there is not a long enough time for there to be hands-on projects like computer science where you have time to make mistakes and time to learn from them. Here's the most in-demand skills that are required right now by companies. Creativity, emotional intelligence, technology, communication, leadership, computing, problem solving, project management, and data analysis. What do all of those things take? Time, right? You need a lot of time to be able to think about it. And when you only have 50 minutes in a classroom, you can't really do that as well. While many academic achievements are celebrated, employability skills such as communication, teamwork, problem solving often take a back seat. Unfortunately, many graduates find themselves ill-equipped to navigate the professional world because they don't have opportunity for this. One of the best ways right now that we can do that, though, is through internships. By working at local companies, they can improve on these skills. One of my goals and one of my hopes is to get us to a point where every student that wants to intern can get an internship so they can improve on those skills. I'm really lucky to be able to teach computer science and engineering because we have the time in class to allow our students to play with stuff, right? They can actually make a mistake in computer science, and then their program doesn't work, and then what do? They debug it, right? And then they debug it, and they make it better, more efficient. So they have that time. It is an environment where students are encouraged to embrace those challenges, knowing that setbacks are not failures at all, but learning opportunities. They get to code, they fail, they improve, they code, they fail, they improve. So in computer science, it's okay to fail. And I want all of our students to know that's how you learn. It's okay to fail. We need to foster an innovative spirit. Oh, I went a little bit too far ahead. We need to foster an innovative spirit. And there's some things that we need in place in the classroom for that. And these should probably be pretty obvious to most of you. We need to have psychological safety as a paramount idea, that everyone needs to feel safe in the classroom. All students should feel confident to be able to voice their ideas without fear of ridicule from anyone. And this is the one that I think most kids have a hard time. The two are very obvious. All kids need to feel a sense of purpose, not just a rite of passage. They need an environment enriched by diverse perspectives where every student's unique gifts and strengths and experiences can contribute to the whole group. Under visionary leadership, the culture of healthy risk-taking would flourish and prepare students not just for exams, but for real-world challenges. One of my favorite movies growing up was Apollo 13, which is actually a real-life experience that happened, right? And the biggest line I remember from the movie is, "Houston, we have a problem." So we have somebody out in space, and no more oxygen because they don't have the right things that go together. If you remember, there's a scene in the movie where there's a bunch of engineers around a table, and they bring out a square filter and a cylinder filter. And they say, these two need to fit together somehow with this bunch of junk. Go and figure it out. But the real cool thing about that is there was no risk for them to try. The risk was not to try. If they didn't do it, somebody would have died. So there was no risk. And they had an extreme sense of purpose. Now, I know this is really an extreme situation, but this is what we need. We need our students to feel like they can take that risk and have a real sense of purpose. Education needs to take some risks too. In reformulating the way we educate, not only do we need to make sure that classes like computer science are in every school, but we need to find a way for teachers to make time for collaboration and hands-on skills in the classroom. I am totally excited about AI. And that might be surprising to some of you. Some of you probably not surprised at all. I see you, Anne-Marie. And I know that people are apprehensive, and rightfully so, to be honest. We're fearful about the cheating element of AI. It does happen, I've seen it. And students getting too reliant on that cheating. We're also worried about the data security. We don't want our students to be unsafe. We need them to be safe in data. There's also age restrictions. Only students 13 and older can use AI right now, and only in certain situations. And I heard this the other day. If you're using AI, you are not using critical thinking skills. Well, it depends on how you look at it. Glass half empty, glass half full, right? And the biggest thing I'm hearing is AI is just plain scary. It is scary. I mean, think about it. You see how computers can be used so quickly. And AI has its flaws and can undermine learning if implemented without care. We must be vigilant, centering ethics and student well-being as we integrate AI judiciously with human oversight. We can maximize AI's considerable upside while protecting what matters most, our students. So, I have a student that is really interested in bikes. The world revolves around bikes. And the student, senioritis has come early. You've heard of that, right? So students get to the point where like, I'm in this marathon, here's the last mile. That's always the hardest part, right? Getting to the finish line. So we're tired. But what if math class, all of the curriculum, could be centered around the subject matter of bikes? Might pull them in a little bit more, right? Also, think about it. When we have 30 to 35 students in a classroom, where do we focus our teaching that day? It's going to be somewhere in the middle, right? Unfortunately, that's kind of how it has to be when you only have 45, 50 minutes. We do have some activities to reach the kids that are struggling. We have some activities to enrich, but that's now 3 levels, right? What if we can make curriculum for each and every single one of those students, 30 to 35 kids, that reached their level that day? Personalize it for them alone. Imagine that. Also, this AI, if it was housed in our school district, it could be a personalized tutor. How many of you have thought about paying a tutor to help your students? I'm sure there's a few of you. So what if we had this AI trained to ask meaningful questions and also follow along with their homework and say, okay, you need to work on this before the next test. Here's some extra problems for you to practice. Pretty cool. Despite technological advances, though, educational divides persist, especially in computer science and engineering. Historically, this sector of industry has seen underrepresentation of women, people of color, and also an underrepresentation of socioeconomic disadvantaged backgrounds. These disparities are not just a reflection of access. They're also a broader societal biases and barriers that these groups all face. By adopting to offer more computer science and engineering courses or projects that allow for collaboration and critical thinking and use AI, we have the opportunity to level the playing field. The road ahead is going to have some difficult conversations. There's going to be some trade-offs. And there's going to be a huge disruption of the status quo, so we might as well get ready for it. But by leveraging human ingenuity and insights alongside AI, we can build a more inclusive future. Our students are counting on us to think boldly, take chances, and then we can reimagine education for each and every student to discover their possibilities and thrive. Thank you.